All right, here we go with the hitter upgrades for the roster update coming out on August 26th. Last week we had Mookie Betts going diamond. We had Freef getting an update finally. Charlie Blackmon. Anything else that we hit on? I can't remember. Oh, I did do a late one. I don't know if it necessarily counts. It was not in the official show, but right before the update, we talked about Gary Sanchez, Sandy Leon, and Adrian Gonzalez. So, I mean, they were official-ish upgrades, candidates, but not ones that you could really invest on because I gave them to you so late. However, we're going back to the well. We're going official style with one of the upgrades, with one of those candidates, at least one of them. With Sandy Leon, that's who we're going to actually start with today. I wasn't sure 100% if he did deserve one. I mean, his numbers do. Eno and I were actually talking about him on the podcast today, and Eno doesn't really buy it at all. So I get a weird feeling of deja vu. I feel like the last time I upgraded him, I said Eno doesn't buy him at all. Maybe Eno doesn't know anything about baseball? No, I'm just kidding. I'm 100% kidding. That dude forgot more about baseball today than I'll ever know. But the reason that he's a little bit suspect on Sandy Leon compared to, say, a Mike Zunino is because Sandy Leon doesn't necessarily have discernible changes behind his surge. And he's 3 years older. But he was upgraded on July 15th. Since then, he has a 330 average, 394 on base, and 598 slugging with 6 homers, a 1285 OPS against lefties since the upgrade. So it's a pretty simple upgrade here. We're just going +7s against lefties. Keep in mind that since 2014, he has a 755 OPS and 160 ISO against lefties. So he is absolutely dominating them this year, and it still only brings the numbers up to 755 and 160. We can't go too crazy here. This is a 28-year-old backup catcher who is just kind of having the run of his life, you know? I mean, it's not a perfect comp, but remember when Daniel Nava came up for the Red Sox, hit a grand slam on his first at-bat, I think it was, and then just kind of kept raking for, I don't know, the better part of that year, I think. I think he had a pretty good season, and then he went back to being Daniel Nava, which was like kind of like a quadruple A, 25th man kind of guy, which is fine. Hey, you got to be at a big leaguer, better late than never. But I don't think we're seeing a renaissance here with Sandy Leon. I'll give him an upgrade for what he's done against lefties, though. We'll get him to some sort of serviceability if you happen to punt catcher in a BR. That's really the only use I can think of him. It's not going to be that useful. Sorry. Next up, and remember we go from bottom to the top now to kind of build up the next level guys, or the better golds and maybe platinums, maybe diamonds that we are going to give an upgrade to. Let's see. Keon Broxton is a guy that I kind of bought into his spring training. He had a big spring training. I'm very careful to buy in on guys' spring training statistics because spring training stats don't usually mean anything. There are certain ones that you can glean some information from if they got a really huge ISO, which means they're showing a bunch of power, or if they steal a ton of bases with great success. You know, they go like 10 for 12, means they're running a whole lot. They probably plan on running during the year. Strikeouts and walks, those can be indicative of things. But even the best, it's never 100%. It's not even close. You can have a guy dominate in spring training with all the valuable metrics, have a huge ISO, steal bases, cut his Ks, improve his walks, and it can mean garbage. And that's kind of what happened with Keon Broxton. He really did have a big spring. And there were skills behind it. We thought it was going to really translate, and it didn't. Until recently. Again, better late than never. His last 28 days, 342, 448, 644 with 5 homers, 10 stolen bases. Kind of like Leon, he's absolutely damaging lefties like crazy. 1464 OPS, 429 ISO. So we're giving him +8s against lefties on both factors, power and contact. Again, we are working with some previous information. I think he played just a little bit last year. But the sample just isn't large enough to go too crazy with Keon Broxton However, he does deserve some other upgrades here. I'd say a plus 10. He really shows he can take walks, and that's valuable for such a speed guy, especially if you're kind of talking about fantasy baseball as well, because a guy who can get on base, maybe not the best hitter because he does strike out a ton too. His plate vision could actually go down. He's striking out like 35% of the time. It's insane. But an on-base guy, like imagine if Billy Hamilton could actually get on base regularly. Keon Broxton can. He's not quite as fast as Billy Hamilton, but he's very fast. So I think he deserves a steal boost as well. He's got a 15% walk rate. That's why I'm giving the discipline upgrade. And that could even go higher. I don't know how quickly they're going to react on that. A 15% is elite. I don't think they would go all the way up to an elite level, but maybe they push it closer. In fact, I will too. I'll go to 60 on that. And he had 10% in the minors, which is good too. So he's always had the ability to draw a walk. He will swing and miss. It's almost kind of like a Jock Peterson profile, except not quite as much power, and it's from the right side, so he's on the shorter side of the platoon. So it's actually kind of a poor man's Jock Peterson, a really poor person having Jock Peterson. And he goes from a 73 to a 70. You know what I realized? I never checked what Sandy Leon went to. Sweet life, Paul. I'm just like, Sandy Leon gets an upgrade. You'll figure it out if he gets it. 70. Okay. So that was only 1 point for Sandy Leon, from 69 to 70. Sorry for those of you who are holding on to him, waiting for him to go to Diamond. It's not happening. Yet. Okay? Just be patient. You hold those 248 Sandy Leons that you have. They will pay off. Just like your Beanie Babies. Don't let your mom throw them away. Alright, where the hell does Yasmani Tomas play? Yasmani Tomas, I put him on the update list recently, and I almost put him on last week. I had a note where I was like, he's hit a bunch more homers, but he hasn't really done anything else. Another high-quality week. He did get updated on August 5th, so just a couple weeks ago. But he's at 250, 300, 679. The batting average and on-base, neither are good, but he's just really hitting for power. And last week I said, okay, if he's got to hit a few more homers, and then I'll give him a look. He hit a few more homers. So we're going to give the power an upgrade, 62 against righties and 79 against lefties. He got plus 20. I don't know why I shouted that. He got plus 20 last time against lefties on the power. So it's pretty much set. He does have a 268 career ISO against them. So he really does rake lefties. But they gave him a big enough upgrade last time that he's just going to get a small boost here. And then his ISO against righties is just 163. So we can't go too crazy. 62 I think is fair. This should get him in the silver at least. There it is. 77 to 79. Right now I got a couple of 81s that we're looking at next. Starting with Russell Martin. Russell Martin got off to one of the worst starts in all of baseball this year. I mean, he was a nightmare. I can't recall his numbers offhand. They were bad. I think at one point he had a 4 WRC plus. That's on a similar scale to OPS plus, both of which I quote from time to time in these videos. 100 is average. He had a 4 through like 2 months of the season. It was bad. Like, I could probably get a 4. I mean, that's not true. I'd probably get like a minus 79 or worse, like a minus 148 or something. But a 4 is really bad. 4. You at least, at any point, want to have your number, right? And even that, no matter what number it is pretty bad unless you're like Manny Ramirez when he was with the Dodgers, 99. He's at what, 55? That's still terrible, but at least you wouldn't have a 4. So he was downgraded on May 27th, which was obviously the right move. But since then, he's really killed it. 295, 405, 529, looking like the beast that the Pirates had that year before free agency when he signed with the Blue Jays. He's got 12 homers in that time. Over the course of a full season, that's about a 30-homer pace for a catcher, meaning over 162 games, it's closer to a 33-homer pace. But you got to knock a little bit off because a catcher never plays 162. So I'm going to give him the discipline that he lost from that downgrade, give him those 6 points back. I do have to move the vision down a little bit more, though. He is striking out a lot. Career high 28% strikeout rate. That's really bad. He's been an okay strikeout guy in the past though, so I don't want to crush him too hard on that. 23% 23% walk rate against lefties, which is also really helping. That's why I moved that discipline up. I could move it up higher, but it's weird. He like really walks against lefties and doesn't against righties. It was kind of bizarre how it was split. So I'm going to take his right-handed work right back to where it was before the downgrade. So that's all the way back up to 61, and then bump this up to 65. Because since that downgrade against righties specifically, it's 299, 395, 511. So I mean that's a great line. That's since May 27th. So you're talking about 3 months of work now at this point. I left him steady against lefties, and I think it's because I didn't finish the work. Because I don't know why I would do that. Although sometimes I doubt myself on these, and then I look and I'm like, yeah, I meant to do that. I should just leave myself a note. You didn't mean to upgrade him against lefties. So we're going to do it on the fly, okay? We'll do it live. So we are going to do it live. Yeah, see, I think it's because he's been pretty bland against lefties. Maybe I am smart. Maybe. There may just be hope for me after all. Yeah, I meant to do that. Yes. Okay, so no upgrade against lefties, discipline upgrade, crushing righties, back up to 84. So not quite a gold, but if he stays hot, we could get a September gold when all 9 of us are still playing the game. So that'd be cool. All right, next up, I mentioned another 81. You know who really likes using this guy? Brady, Boy 14. Big Neil Walker fan. Apparently rakes for him. Well, about to get better for you, Brady. You're welcome. Upgraded May 6th, as if I'm in charge. Upgraded May 6th, 279. Since then, 279, 349, 442. That's pretty solid. That's not like eye-popping, but it's also since May 6th, so we can kind of cut the most recent section out that's kind of showing why he deserves an upgrade because it's above his standard level, which is what that usually is. So, but since the All-Star break, so July 15th, 339, 387, 567 with 7 homers. He's got a 371 average and 1107 OPS against lefties, 325 and 885 against righties. Bunch of numbers. In sum, he's raking. Here's a crazy number. He's got 8 homers in 107 plate appearances against lefties this year. And I think I've given this number out before when it was, whatever it was at that time, because obviously it's changed when I did a Neil Walker upgrade. So 8 in 107 plate appearances against lefties this year. Previously, he had 6 homers in 758 plate appearances. That's insane. So he just has... That speaks to a change. That's a magnitude of difference that speaks to a change. It fits the narrative that he's worked with hitting coach Kevin Long and made changes similar to one Daniel Murphy, which, what did it do for him? Also unlocked the power. So obviously Daniel Murphy's been light years better than Neil Walker this year, but it's because he's been light years better than a hell of a lot of players, not because of anything Neil Walker is failing to do. I think Neil Walker's been the guy that the Mets, at the very least, he's been exactly what they hoped for, if not a bit more. He's been pretty good. So this is a revisit from last week, by the way, some of you may remember. I'm just giving the same upgrade here again, but just re-highlighting as he continues to dominate that he really needs a 3-point and 10-point upgrade. Then he's almost even across the board. He is a switch hitter, and then you're not really feeling like you have to platoon him. You can actually use him on that switch hitter level, especially on inside edge. You can get everything up to the 80s. And he ends up becoming kind of a beast, and I think that's when Brady really uses him. Adequate defense, it's kind of a Daniel Murphy starter kit, really, again, especially if he's on inside edge boost, which is really when you want to use him. And that takes him 81 to 83. Next up is another second baseman who's absolutely dominating, who I just kind of took notice of. I don't give much love to DJ LeMahieu. It's no offense to him. I don't really pay a lot of attention to Colorado, I'll admit it. And so you kind of miss the guys that aren't hitting the flashy bombs left and right. Nolan Arenado, we keep an eye on him. Trevor Story when he was playing. Carlos Gonzalez, even Charlie Blackmon amplified his home run rates this year, which has helped him get to gold just last week. Oh, we had that, didn't we? Yeah, we sure did. So This could be their next gold, though. This guy's absolutely dominating. Yeah, he is leveraging Coors Field to his advantage, but why the hell wouldn't he? I certainly would if I could. It would help me get that 4 WRC plus as well. He was upgraded on July 8th, and since then he's hitting 359, 445, 506 with 5 homers in 40 games. That's really strong. His contact versus right and power versus right, I think, really need the upgrades here. I'm going to go 2 points and 10 points on the power, which is still below average, but he's really spiked up. And then I'm going to go 2 and 5 here. So we've got a really sharp increase against righties the last couple of years in his OPS. He's gone from 660 to 743 to 897. That's against righties the last 3 years. So he's really evolving. All of his triple slash numbers, the average, on base, and slugging against righties this year are all career bests. I'm also going to move his vision up to 77. Not striking out a whole lot this year. Real high contact guy. Make a ton of contact in Coors Field. Stuff's going to get through, especially if you can strike the ball decently. You know, he's not a huge power guy, but he can hit it well enough. Against lefties, he got the 2 and 5 upgrades because he has 3 homers and 135 plate appearances against them this year. He had 2 and 505 plate appearances before that. We're seeing similar jumps in OPS against lefties, 669, 757, and 975. He's just really evolved into a great player. I mean, I've been really impressed by him now that I kind of look back, checked out the record. I always knew he was a good batting average hitter, but he's actually doing a bit more this year. He's kind of like Matt Carpenter before Matt Carpenter turned on the power. And so we'll see if maybe DJ LeMahieu can do that in the future, especially with Coors to his advantage. But right now he's a really good player, and I think this will get him to gold very easily. Jumps up to an 87. I feel comfortable when the upgrade I do gets him to an 87 like that, because then I can be off a little bit and we're still looking at a potential gold, because even if they don't go as hard as I did, say on the power on both sides there, maybe they go 7 and 3 on the points there, then he's an 85. Okay, we're still talking gold. So I feel really good about that gold for sure. I also feel good about this one. This was one of those late ones that I did last week because I just started noticing him. So now we're going to do the official run through on Adrian Gonzalez. He was downgraded on June 10th. He was having a bad season power-wise. Like, still making his contact, taking his walks, kind of being a James Loney type, which, you know, they don't want. He's never been the biggest power guy. Like, he had 40 one time with San Diego. But for the most part, he's like a mid-20s guy. But he's still a really, really, really good player. And the power just wasn't there. But since the downgrade on June 10th, 319, 375, 517 with 10 homers in 264 plate appearances. If you look at just his last 200 plate appearances, it's 360, 420, 590 with 9 of the 10 homers. So you kind of take, what is that, about 15 games off of that front end and just kind of consolidate it, and he's been really on fire lately. His verse right numbers are all better than 2015 when he hit and he has a 310, 381, 495 triple slash against them. So we're getting upgrades in 3 of the 4 categories here. So against contact versus right, we'll go 3 points. Power versus right, we'll go 6 points. Contact versus left, 2 points. But then power versus left, got to take a hit. He just hasn't really had it, though. It still hasn't. All these power, this recent power surge, has come against righties. He's just taking advantage of righties again. So we have to make that split a little bit more. So that'll hurt him a little bit, but I still think it might be enough to get him to gold. Sure is. Boom, another new gold. And I feel pretty good about that too, because that's a returning gold, I believe. I think he was gold to start the year. And he took a while to get going. I understand why they downgraded him. He kind of had to show that he wasn't going down a level as a 33-year-old, and he said, okay, check this out, San Diego. I think he did it he wasn't really interested in putting up good numbers until he saw that his MLB The Show rating got downgraded, and he said, I don't think so. And that's when he really turned it on. Hey, guess what? While we're on this team, maybe we'll upgrade somebody else. What do you guys think? I know you guys have been asking, like, when are you going to do a Hank Quezada upgrade, Paul? Are you going to do the Han Santos this week or next week? I know you guys have been dying for both of these. Patience, okay? I'm actually here to do a little known I'm here to do an upgrade on a little known guy named Corey Seager, something like that. I don't really know who this guy is, but I think he deserves an upgrade. He was recently upgraded about a month and a half ago, July 8th. Since then, all he's done is go 384, 427, 575 with 5 homers. Unbelievable. That's insane. 14-game hitting streak right now. 11 of those are multi-hit games. Here are his numbers during the streak. This is 14 games. This is 2 weeks. It's not a huge sample, but it's 2 weeks. 509, 556, 737. He's getting a hit more than half the time over the last 2 weeks. Absurd. So there's not a huge upgrade to be done with the power numbers, but we're going to get 2 points on each side. I'm actually going to give him a big upgrade here on his clutch. He's 21st in OPS with runners in scoring position in all of baseball since 2015. So since he got his call up, that's pretty good. So I'm going to put him up at 78. I think he needs to be jumped up there. Contact is where he's really going to get his upgrade, though. We're going to go 6 points on both of them. That's going to be huge. So I don't think this is necessarily enough for Diamond since he's starting at 89. But I think he's going to end the year at Diamond because he's just amazing. And who doesn't have him in their lineup right now? I mean, pretty much everyone does. 91. I like that. Good. You got to have that first step toward the Diamond. I don't think he can get all the way to Diamond. All right. Last one on the hitter side is the guy that we were calling for an upgrade. He got the upgrade. Again, not because of us. I'm just tooting my own horn at this point. And I'm saying us to make you guys feel like you're part of it, but I'm doing all the work. Let's be honest. I'm just kidding. This is Joey Votto. We knew he was going to get back to Diamond. Now he needs to get to be Super Diamond because he's unbelievable. I don't want to say he's putting to shame what Corey Seager's doing because nobody can put to shame a 509 batting average for 2 weeks. But he's kind of putting it to shame. Like, he's been the best player in baseball since May 9th by OPS. That's about 90 games for most of the players in the sample. He's been the best. David Ortiz was right there. You know, I was kind of looking at it, kind of see the furthest date that he was the best. And they would kind of flip-flop. But then since 5-9, he's basically been the top OPS guy almost every day since. I didn't check every single day. I do have a small little bit of a life. I can't just click every single date. But I checked like random periods every couple of weeks just to see, oh, is he still first since this period? And he always was first. He was last upgraded on July 29th. Since then, all he's done, these lame numbers, 434, 510, 639. Just doing that for a month, no big deal. So we're going to go ham. We're going 95 on the contact versus right, 90 on the power versus right. He's going to be 99, 99 every day against them with inside edge. Here's what he's doing against lefties since that upgrade. 480, 536, 520. Now notice the OBP is higher than the slug. He's just getting a bunch of base hits and walks, which is fine. Because check this out. This kind of surprised me. I mean, I don't want to say it surprised me. I just didn't know. I wouldn't have known who to guess. I probably would have guessed him near the top. But I don't even know if posed the question who I would have necessarily said. But the best left versus left OPS since 2014 is Votto at 934. Now, the surprising part is that he's crushing the field. Next best is 888 by Anthony Rizzo. That's a pretty sizable difference. Minimum 250 plate appearances, which is, an okay sample. It's not huge, but he doesn't have problems against lefties. I like to do those lefty-lefty comparisons, as I always mention, because left-left is so difficult that the bar is set lower. So even like a 690 OPS is above average if left versus left because it's so tough for them. So a 934, I mean, that a righty who had a 934 against lefties would be considered a stud. So what do you consider Votto? Can we make a new level for him? I mean, super duper elite, best ever platinum. He's unbelievable. So against lefties, we're going to go, we got 5 on it. And then we're going to give him these 3 points back that he lost. I mentioned that the slugging was lower than the on base. We're just giving him back the 3 points that he lost in the downgrade phase. Even though he's not killing the ball. He's not hitting a bunch of homers against lefties, but he's striking it with enough authority that I think he can get those 3 points back. So what's this going to put him at? Like 95? Yep, nailed it. 95. That's where Joseph Votto belongs, man. I mean, the thing of it is, this guy, he's so ridiculous. I love Joey Votto. He's a great player for this game. You know, if you're good at check swinging, really, I mean, you can get some of those great takes. I really think he should be on everybody's team. You don't have to start him. There's so many good, fun first basemen that I understand if you want to use somebody else regularly. But if you don't at least have him on your bench as a substitute bat, I don't know what you're doing, because look, he can still hit lefties. He's almost always on inside edge. It's not a thing for your, we don't just say it because it's Brady's favorite player, Boiler Boy 14. So he's always been beating the drum on Votto. I've been a long-time Votto fan. I can't claim ownership of the fandom in the Twitch community because it's not for my hometown team. But I put him on every fantasy team I can. Votto is just an utter beast. But it's not just the fandom. This is a valuable player that you should have on your team, again, pretty much regardless of what you're doing out there. All right, let's go ahead and review what we've got for the hitters. We'll take a quick second here, and then we'll get to the pitchers. I had Sandy Leon going from 69 to 70, Keon Broxton from 70 to 73, Yasmani Tomas 77 to 79, Russell Martin 81 to 84, Neil Walker 81 to 83, DJ LeMahieu 83 to 87 as a new gold. Probably my most confident one of the week, because even if he doesn't go all the way up to 87, there's still wiggle room for him to jump into gold, so I'm very confident about him. Adrian Gonzalez, I'm very confident about 83 to 85. Corey Seager, I'm pretty confident that he's going to get an upgrade. I don't know what it's necessarily going to do. It's not going to take him to a new level, 89 to 91, but that's another kind of staple card that should be on just about every team, because he's a lefty who doesn't have to be platooned, and he can play two positions, set, short, and third, 2 key positions. And then Joey Votto going from 93 to 95. I considered Alex Gordon, but he's only got the one good month. August is literally his only good month, and maybe he's healthy, maybe he's going to continue to hit. I'd love to give him an upgrade because I'm a fan of Alex Gordon, but the rest of his months are all sub 700 OPS, which is really bad. So I passed on him this week. So those are the hitters. We'll see how they turn out in a couple days.